Randall, what was it like working with Jim Neidhart in Florida in 1984? There's a video on YouTube of you and Jim going at it while a relaxed Gordon Soley watches on from behind his desk. So, Jim Neidhart, I didn't realize you had a little feud.
Oh, yeah. He was with Darso, and they were managed by Fidel Sierra, and he speaks Spanish. He said we had him as a Cuban because there were a lot of Cubans in Florida. And working with Jim, he was strong, he was tough, but he'd listen, and it was okay. I mean, we didn't draw a lot of money, but I mean, I was trying to rebuild that territory after Eddie Graham's Dory Funk had quit. Then they were looking for a booker, and Eddie Graham called Jerry Jarrett. Jerry Jarrett nominated me. Then I went to Florida for an interview, and I guess I passed it because he hired me. But when I went down there, this is what I came up on: a territory that was gutted. Dusty had left to go to North Carolina. He took with him Magnum TA. The number 1 and the number 2 baby faces left. Nobody knew they were leaving or in. I mean, the office did. The fans didn't. Then he took another, Billy Jack Haynes was there. He left. So when I got there, I had to rebuild the whole talent structure. I had to build it. I got some help maybe 2 months later when the Freebirds came in, but I was trying to build heels because you can't draw any money without your heels. So it was tough. Finally, I got it up. About 6 months, 8 months later, I got it up. We had a sellout in Sarasota. And I said, well, it's coming back now. We got them you just got to have a feeling that people are interested in something. And then I had Jack Horowitz or Barry Horowitz, the loser gimmick. It was kind of getting over. I had Brian Blair. He was kind of getting over. Jesse Barr. He was kind of moving up. But it takes time. That's why I preach patience. You just can't go out and I'll just go in the ring and just beat you up one day and expect to draw some money. People actually, if I did it more than once, they'd blame you. Because why are you going in the ring knowing you're going to get the crap beat out of you? That's your fault, not me. They were nothing to dislike me for. So we had a sellout in Sarasota, me against Flair. That's where I'd had another match with Flair, Lakeland, Florida. He blew me up so bad. I was embarrassed for myself because I was working like 10 or 12 hours a day and not working out, not getting any sleep. So I actually blew up in the match, and he knew I did, but he kept pouring it on. But Sarasota, I rested up. I said, I'm going to be ready. And then I went in there and we had a good match. But anyway, after the sellout, that's what I was proud of. The next day we went to Orlando, and it was Super Bowl Sunday, I think, 1985, I think. And we got news in the dressing room that Eddie Graham had shot himself in the head and tried to kill himself. He was still alive, but on life support. And the more I heard about the story, I don't know. And I noticed Eddie had been depressed because Eddie is a hell of a guy to be around, but he was depressed. And I'm sure it was like, I attribute it back to the territory being so down, but it was starting to come back now. And I was glad that maybe Eddie could feel better about the path we were on. Because he would come in and he wouldn't blame me for nothing. And he preached that. You got to have patience. You got to have patience. He's the one I got it from. So if he wasn't going to get rid of me for having patience, you know, it was okay to do. And then he died the next day. They unplugged him. And from that point on, I just couldn't concentrate. I just couldn't concentrate on the booking. Everything else seemed like I was just off. So I left about, I guess, a month later, 6 weeks later. Then I went to Oklahoma.
I presume that Mike took over the territory then. Was he sort of the final word, or was it someone else who was the final word?
Well, who actually came in was Wahoo. He came in, but it didn't get any better. I mean, it was what impetus it had then, it carried over a little bit. But when you change creative, that changes everything. So Mike, he took over somewhere, and Mike Graham, God bless him, he's dead now. I don't think he could book a Motel 6 reservation. I really don't, because he wasn't creatively oriented to book several different stories at one time, because he never had to before. He always depended on Dusty, or always depended on his dad, or Dory Funk Jr., or guys who had been around. Really, Mike Graham never left Florida. Really, he may have worked in a few other places, but not for long. He was just a guy that was there. That he was always a underneath guy. He was always a third or fourth match guy. Then they would put him in a tag with Steve Kern and bring him up, but never the main event. So, what was the original question?
Something about Neidhart. I'll just finish with this.
And Neidhart was fine.
Was this your first full-time booking job, and also who
Yes.
who was sort of like your inspiration to book the way you booked? Because obviously,
Jerry Jarrett.
Yes, so it was Jerry Jarrett who you learned from.
Yeah, because I learned from Jerry because I used to ride up and down the road with him, and he said, "Listen, think of it like you're gonna have a heel that that's people don't like him when he walks into the room. Don't try to make a heel. Have a heel like if you have a natural feeling about him." That's why Buddy Landell was such a good heel. You kind of wanted to like him, but you just couldn't. Same way with Flair. You kind of wanted to like him and party with, but he was just such an asshole. So that's what makes a good heel, because he would turn things. A good heel is always the victim. Everybody is always working against him because they don't want him to be a success. They're jealous of him because you got this and they don't. You got this and they don't. And the reason you got that is because, hey, you're the best, and they need to accept that. So if you attack the fans, you got them. You can't attack, just go out there and I'm the greatest wrestler in the world. They hear that crap all the time. Make it personal, and you got money.